So natural gas is similar to what we have here. Okay, same story. However, not only is crude oil present, some of the body, when it decomposes, all right, there will be gas deposits, and these gas deposits are what we term as natural gases. Okay, and all right, these are also similar to like oil. Okay, we use natural gas in quite a lot of industries. In fact, even in Singapore, we need and rely on natural gas pipes in from Indonesia. We buy natural gas from Indonesia, and it gets piped underwater all the way to Singapore into our factories like Senoko power plant, and we burn the natural gas to heat up turbines. Okay, and the turbines generate electricity for our country. Okay, so even Singapore is very highly reliant on non-renewable sources of energy. Okay, in this case, natural gas. All right, so there's some interesting reads here. You can read it yourself. Okay, these are all the uses of natural gas used in 2007. All right, quite interesting. Now let's move back then to uranium. I'm sure a lot of you are interested. Okay, what is uranium? Nuclear energy is energy in the nucleus of an atom. In this case, we always tend to use, of course, there are two processes of energy released from atoms. One is by nuclear fusion, another from nuclear fission. But you do not have to know about this yet. Don't worry, you will learn this in later years of the IB syllabus. Okay, maybe just as a general note. Alright, the uranium is given a number 235. Okay, and this is where, not only is this uranium very precious in creating energy, but certain countries are also using uranium 235 to make nuclear weapons. And I think you're familiar with this on the news, like countries like Iraq and North Korea. They have basically embarked on nuclear energy, and the world countries like USA is not very confident with them using nuclear energy, because if you can create a nuclear power plant to create energy, you can easily create a nuclear weapon, and that's what they are fearful about. All right, so in US, okay, most of the uranium is mined. All right, and why is it important to use nuclear? Because a very small amount of uranium can produce a lot of energy, and this is actually linked, all right, to Einstein's theory of energy, where the famous formula E equals to mc square came about. But you again don't have to worry about this. We will learn this in later years of the IB diploma. Alright, so further reading, you can see how complicated a nuclear reactor can be. This is how it looks like in a diagram form. Okay. Of course, one thing about nuclear power is its effect on the environment. Okay, even though nuclear energy can be considered cheap, but its effect on the environment can be very devastating, because if when you use nuclear energy, whatever is the residue or the whatever is left behind is radioactive. Okay, so the spent fuel assemblies are highly radioactive. All right, and it must be stored in specially designed pools. All right, something like large swimming pools, and this basically acts as a radiation shield. Okay, because they are so highly reactive, any human being or any animal or any life that is exposed to these radioactive waves, rays, will actually be affected, okay, quite badly. You've heard of devastating destruction of life in Chernobyl. A nuclear reactor exploded I believe Chernobyl is in Russia. And what happened was, many of the children, parents, when they gave birth to children, some of them were very badly deformed, and this also took place in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, when the atomic bomb was dropped, many Japanese also suffered from very bad mutations, the children, and this not only affects the next generation, but it can affect many generations. Okay, and it's kind of very unfortunate for this to happen. So as you can see, these are the sources of non-renewable sources of energy. All right, you can basically answer the questions that follow. Okay, this is an example on how nuclear energy is created. Okay, so nuclear energy is generated by the reaction of uranium in nuclear reactions. So this is an example of that. Okay, you can check out the link here to do more research on your own. So what are the good things about using fossil fuels and nuclear energy? Okay, maybe on one side you can put in all the good points, on the other side you can put in all the bad points. Alright, so let me help you with fossil fuel. What are the bad points? Let's write them on the right hand side. Okay, fossil fuels, of course, air pollution is very bad. When you burn crude oil, you produce a lot of pollution, right? And also, as you know, it's non-renewable. You can't wait another 300 million years to get back your same amount of oil and crude oil and natural gas, right? So these are non-renewable sources. Okay, so that is a disadvantage. How about nuclear energy? Alright, well, one of the disadvantages is that power stations are very expensive to build and maintain. One of the reasons given by the US as to why North Korea should not adopt nuclear energy is because even though they can build nuclear energy power plants, they may not have the expertise and the money, okay, to maintain the power plants. If the power plants are not well maintained, there could be leaking, there could be sudden of worst case scenario explosions. Alright, so this affects very greatly the people who live around the area. And lastly, maybe another possible disadvantage is that it has very harmful radioactive wastes, and storage of these wastes has always been a problem. It is said that some of the radioactive waste that comes from the nuclear power plants are actually stored in very thick lead canisters, and they are actually buried deep into the ground. Nobody can say this, but maybe in 30 to 40 years time there might be a small little tremor. As you know, minor earthquakes can take place under the surface of the earth, and we may not be able to experience it. Now what if the earth moves and the canisters break open? I mean, the worst case scenario is the radioactive waste will leak out into the soil, and of course life would then be very badly affected by the radiation. And radiation lasts for many years, 50 to even hundreds of years. Okay, it's a very dangerous thing. So let's move on to another interesting part of the lesson, the last part of the lesson, where we discuss what are the alternative sources of energy, okay, that mankind should consider using. So let's move on to the notes here. As you can see, these are the renewable sources of energy. So for this section, I'm gonna show you an interesting video on some renewable sources of energy. So enjoy.